In the last video, and you really should watch the last video first before you watch this, because it's all going to be out of order and you're not going to get the sense of what we're talking about here. So to see the last video, click subscribe. I don't know where the button is anymore. They keep moving it. So find the subscribe button and click it. It might be right under this video, right down here or down here somewhere. Okay, so in the last video, we mentioned that in order to be happy, you have to have the physical conditions with which to be happy. This is why the number one reason for divorce is finance. You don't have the physical condition, you don't have the money or the housing or the car or the whatever it is, the physical comfort to be happy in a relationship. So you argue about money, and then you get split up because you're unhappy because you don't have the physical, and the physical's the third chakra. In order to have the physical, we mentioned that you have to have action. If you don't have action, if you don't have work, if you don't put work into it, you're not going to get anything physical. Whether it's a healthy body, if you don't put work into it, you're not going to keep a healthy body. If you don't put work into your finances, you're not going to have a healthy bank account. You're not going to have the physical things without the work. And in order to have the work, in order to be able to realize your actions, to have the energy to act, in order to take action, you have to have the freedom to take action, right? You can't have your childhood guilt trips, your society, your parents, your upbringing, your mentality, your biases hold you back. You've got to have the space to be able to act freely. And space is emptiness. Space is vastness. It's liberty. So that's where we all start. That's where we start. That's where the universe started. Without space, you can't have energy and rays of light, rays of radiation going to and fro, going everywhere, creating matter. That's what electrons are. That's what nucleuses and protons and neutrons are. They're just energy that's decided to collaborate with other types of energy and stay within that form and kind of circle around each other. And hey, let's just call ourselves an atom, even though on the inside we've got nothing except energy. We're just energy that decided for a short period of time to act like we're a family and stay together. That is exactly what created a neutron and a proton, and then the electrons outside are obviously just energy. And they look just like planets with stars in the middle of them. So that's all the universe is, and none of it would have been possible without space. So in order for you to have the energy to be able to act, and for you to have the energy to be able to create action that creates wealth, that creates conditions within which you can be happy, you have to first have the liberty called space. You have to first have the liberty called space. Now, how do you get that space, though? We didn't mention that in the first couple of videos. How do you get that space from your parents, from your cultural prejudices, from your biases, from your mental constraints? I'll never be rich. Men are pigs. All the good men are taken. Women are gold diggers. I'll never find a woman that'll love me. These are all the things that clutter your ability to act on achieving your desires. Get rid of them. Guess what you have left? Space. Get rid of anything. Guilt. Hey, if you went to church, if you're wealthy and you're rich and there's all sorts of people in Africa starving, you should feel guilty. Oh geez, I guess I can't accept that 8-figure job or 6-figure job that'll eventually let me become my own boss, because there are people starving in Africa. So no, I'm not going to take that job. Subconsciously, subliminally, most people do that. Most people do that. I can't take that job because it contributes to global warming. Hell, contribute to global warming this much, make this much money, and then figure out a way to solve global warming with all your new money. Temporary small little sacrifice for a bigger, greater good soon. Down the line. Figure out a way to create that space. So let's talk about how to create that space. Let's talk about how to get away from those influences that cloud your space, that cloud your ability to act without guilt, without prejudice. Wealthy people are all scammers and frauds. They've lied to someone, they've cheated on someone else, their business partners, or their. So I'm not going to be wealthy because that means that I'd have to compromise my ethics. These are all things that clutter and disempower your ability to act. This is all the stuff that creates the space debris so that you can't do what you're supposed to be able to do. How do you get rid of it? What is space? In order for you to create space within which you can act and work and realize your dreams, don't we first need to understand what space is? Space is not just emptiness. Space is not just liberty. Space is demarcated by something. Otherwise, there wouldn't be space, would there? What is it demarcated by? What is space noted by? Space is noted by something called a boundary. A demarcation is a boundary. Space is noted by this line right here is not space, and on the other side of this line is space. What does that mean? What does that mean to me? What does that mean to my life and my ability to actuate my energy and fulfill my mission, if you want to look at it that way? What it means is that you need to be able to, in order for you to create space, you must first create boundaries. You have to have a boundary. You have to be able to tell your parents, you have to be able to tell your guilty conscience, you have to be able to tell your cultural prejudices, you have to be able to tell your biases, hey, you've got no place here. You've got no say here. You're not welcome here. You're not going to be allowed to interfere with my actions, with my energy levels. How do you do that? If you are having a hard time creating boundaries with your family or people around you, that's because they don't respect your boundaries. You ever meet a person, let's say at the gym, or let's say at the library or anywhere, where you think, hey, man, that guy's in the way. I'm just going to go up and tell him to move, or I'm going to tell him to get out of my way or whatnot. And the moment you walk up to him, you see the look you see the fierceness in his eyes. You think, no, I'm just going to let him do his thing, and I'm just going to move myself. There are people on this planet who have such clear fire in their eyes that you can't possibly ask them to change their boundaries. You know how they accomplish that? You know what the difference is between them and you? You allow people to infringe on your boundaries, and you've allowed them free rent in your mind, which is curtailing, inhibiting, shackling your ability to manifest anything or everything that you want. The difference with these people is that the outsiders, including you, cannot go and ask them, hey, do you mind moving your chair a little bit? Do you mind stepping aside a little bit? Do you mind if I take a little bit of your time? You walk up to some of these people, and you've seen them, you know who I'm talking about, and you say, hi, never mind. You don't want to impose on them for anything because they're so scary, they're so focused. What would happen when Steve Jobs was alive and if you were to walk up to him and ask him to do you some kind of favor that would have imposed on him? You think Steve Jobs would have said, "Oh, sure, you need help changing your tire? Okay, I guess I'll help you. Where's your wrench?" You think Steve Jobs would say that? You think Steve Jobs would do that? No way. Look at all the most self-realizing people on earth. You know what the difference is? And you know how you can maintain and enforce the boundaries in your world so that you can maintain your space? You do it to yourself. You practice it with yourself. You practice it by yourself. It's that simple. You start with yourself. I'm only going to have half a scoop of ice cream. I'm not going to eat chocolate today. I'm going to stay up and watch TV until 10 o'clock. That's a boundary. Do you respect your own boundaries? Or do you have 2-3 scoops of ice cream, eat chocolate when you've told, skip a gym day when you've said that you're going to go to the gym today, do your homework, do your whatever it is, all your chores that you promised yourself you'd do, fix your car, work out, whatever it is. Do you respect your own promises to yourself? Those promises are boundaries. This is where you start. If you cannot mind and respect the boundaries that you've set up for yourself, no one is going to respect the boundaries that you ask of them. You start with yourself. Manage to keep all the promises you've made to yourself, and magically, the people around you will suddenly stop asking you for stupid favors that waste your life. It's amazing how that works.